Hello, I'm very excited to show you in this video how to install Lit-Parrot, which is yet another AI model, but a really cool one. Lit-Parrot is an open source language model repository powered by Lightning Fabric and built upon the Lit-LLaMA and nanoGPT. It features implementation of state-of-the-art open source large language models, including StabilityAI StableLM, and then Pythia, Falcon, and also RedPajama-INCITE. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install EleutherAI's Pythia with this Lit-Parrot. So let's get right into it. The first step you need to do in order to implement this is to go to AWS SageMaker service in AWS. I'm already logged in there and I'll be using Jupyter Notebook or SageMaker Notebook in order to install this. So in order to create a notebook, go to SageMaker Notebooks. On the left hand side, select Notebook Instances, then create Notebook Instance. It will ask you the name of your notebook, and I'm just giving it Lit-Parrot. For the instance size, I'm going to select G4 instance with GPU, which is and the size is X large. Once that's done, I will keep the rest of defaults as is. I'm using Amazon Linux 2. I'm using SageMaker's default role. If this is the first time you are using SageMaker, you might have to create this role by just clicking on this wizard and click on next. It should create the role fairly quickly. So keep the default as is. Click on create notebook instance and it will create your notebook instance in 3 to 4 minutes. Let's wait for it to finish, and once it is in the in service status, we will start using it. Okay, our Jupyter notebook is in service. I'm going to click on Jupyter Lab, which is more visual, to run my Jupyter notebook and install this Lit-Parrot here. Just wait for it to load. It takes around few seconds to load first time. Okay, as you can see, it is redirecting us to that Jupyter Lab. Okay, so it has loaded now, which is great. The first step we need to do is to select our notebook type. I'm going to use Conda Python 3. The reason why I'm using Conda Python 3 is that because it already comes with pre-installed packages which are very useful in terms of machine learning and all these models. So that's done. Now we need to point this notebook to the GitHub repo of our Lit-Parrot. So click on the left hand side on the GitHub icon, click on that icon, then on clone a repository, and then give the link to that Lit-Parrot repository. And don't worry, I will paste and put all the links and commands in a video's description, or I will put the link to all the commands. So click on clone here. The repo should be cloned in very quickly, so that's done. Now, if you check where exactly you are, your path. So we are here in SageMaker home directory. Now go to Lit-Parrot directory. So we are now in Lit-Parrot's directory. So that is done. Next thing we need to do is to install PyTorch because that is a prerequisite for it. And I'm going to use pip command. And as you can see, I have put an exclamation mark in front of pip because we are not exactly in the Linux shell. Rather, we are in the notebook environment. So it takes bit of a time around, I have seen that 1 to 2 minutes to get it installed because it is around 2.3 GB. So just wait for it to finish before moving further. Okay, so as you can see that downloading that PyTorch is almost finished. Once it is downloaded, it will start installing it. So wait for it to finish installing and then we will move forward to the next step. Okay, as you can see that it has finished downloading it and now it is installing PyTorch Triton. And again it takes around 1 minute or so. So let's wait for it to finish, and it has already satisfied these requirements around Jinja to MP math, which is great. Okay, so the PyTorch Triton installation is finished. Now we need to install rest of the requirements. I'm using the familiar pip command for it, and I have also put in the exclamation mark in front of it, and it first runs git clone, and then it just downloads all of these requirements and then install them. This finishes fairly quickly, which is good. So let's wait for it to finish. Okay, so all the requirements have been installed. Now we need to install the Hugging Face Hub as a prerequisite for it. Normally it is already done as part of the previous step, but just to be sure, just run it. So as you can see, it is already satisfied, which is good. Next step which we need to do is to download our Pythia model, just because we need the weights for the Lit-Parrot. In order to download the Pythia model, which I'm using the smallest one, like the 70 million parameters, so that we could finish it quickly. If you have the time, if you have the bandwidth and space, I would highly recommend that you go with StableLM base alpha 3 billion, because that provides more accurate information. But that is fine. In our case, we'll just go with the Pythia one. And I will also give you the instruction as how to use the StableLM one. As you can see, it is a small model. Around the size is around, I think, around 166 million. So which is great. I think it is already done, which is nice. Now everything is done. Or the last step is to convert the checkpoints to our lit stable format, and the command to do it is this. So we are just going into the in this directory running this conversion script, and that will go in and convert the recently downloaded Pythia model. It's fairly quick, so that is done too. Now all we need to do is to run our model. And the command to run the model is like this. So as you can see, I'm just generating the base image, and then on the top of it I'm using the weights which we just downloaded, and this is the command prompt I'm using. So let's see how it performs. Click on play button here, and then it takes a bit of a time to regurgitate it. It loaded it, and it has told us that what sort of config it is using, and all the parameter which has it has used. Now it is also telling you how long did it take to instantiate the model, very quick, and then load the model weights which we just downloaded, and then it also setting the global C to 1234. Okay, so this is this was our prompt, and it has come up with some random values. I think it would need more fine tuning to make the answer better. But if you really want a fine-tuned model, then you can go with, as I mentioned earlier, stable LM base alpha 3 billion, or if you have the bandwidth, even with the stable LM tuned alpha 7 billion. So these are pretty much the steps which you need to take on in order to run this Lit-Parrot model in your own environment. I will also post the link to all the steps and commands which I have used. One more thing I wanted to tell you is that if you want to use that stable LM base alpha model, simply use this command. I'm not going to run it. Also put exclamation mark here. So this is going to download all of these um, models from here, and it is around 14 gig or so. And if you go with 7 billion, that might be even larger. So if you have the space, I would highly suggest, instead of going with Pythia, download this model. Uh, so I hope that this was interesting. If you have any feedback, please put it in the comment section. And before I close this video, let's do the right thing. Close this Jupyter notebook, and then go back to SageMaker and first stop it. Once you stop it, it will go into stop state, and then afterwards you can, once it is stopped state, you can delete it, so that it won't cost you arm and length. And please be very careful with the AWS pricing. Make sure that you either stop it or delete it after you have done your experimentation, so that it won't charge you. Thank you very much.